Welcome to the Iron Self podcast, where we jump into health, fitness, mindset, and becoming the best version of yourself. Today with your hosts, Mike and Kayla Minion. Welcome to This Week in Coaching. It is June 6th, and we are excited to bring you another episode of our This Week in Coaching because there is always lots to go over, and there are always sticking points, and especially sticking points that we hear time and time again. But we love covering them time and time again because there's always new information. And you know, I think there's like some sort of thing that says like you have to hear something a certain amount of times before you actually start to take action on it. So let's just keep going down that path. So today we are talking meal prep and mindset. Where is your head at? I don't think this is like a great topic for me because I'm just getting my head screwed back on. But I mean, hey, I can totally give you my advice.
Oh boy. So yeah, this week the main questions, kind of common denominators that we heard in our group coaching call that we do with our Iron Self Transformation program was, what am I doing for my meal prep? Getting a little bit bored, you know, maybe we're eating the same things all the time, maybe we want to spice it up a little bit.
Or maybe we're not taking action on meal prep.
Or maybe we're planning but we're not taking action, or we're not planning at all and it's just a crapshoot every week, just trying to get all our food in. So meal prep is one of those things that so many people struggle with, so we're definitely hitting that one up. And then, yeah, the mindset side of the world. Woo! So everybody, me, this beautiful individual beside me, every single person that's watching this right now, you guys and us have all struggled with mindset. So we get to dive into that just a little bit, scratch the surface.
Watching or listening. They could be listening.
Could be listening.
Anyways.
You should be watching, see our smiling faces.
Meal prep. Let's jump into meal prep first. Meal
prep your meals
is like, I'm gonna just say it's the bane of my existence sometimes, because we used to be like these, like, I'm gonna call it meal prep Nazis with ourselves. Like, every Sunday is meal prep day and we will prep every lunch for the entire week. Do you remember we would go grocery shopping and we would meal prep and our fridge would look like this catastrophe of like Jenga with lunch kits and everything stacked in there? But it literally took all day on Sunday. And let's be honest, if you get a 2-day weekend, do you want to spend one whole day prepping your meals? I don't know about you, but I don't. And so we did that for months. And then we were like, yeah, screw this noise. And then we just ate garbage for a while because it was too much to keep up with that expectation.
And now what we've done is kind of found that middle ground, find the gray, right? So we still do planned meals. We have a general idea. We have the foods, I'm going to call them our staple foods, that we always have available in our house. So that means we always have rice. That means we always have potatoes. That means we always have a protein source, whatever that looks like, whether it's beans or fish or chicken or beef, whatever that looks like. But we always have the staple foods ready for us to go. And the reason we do this is because, like Kayla said, we tried the whole meal prep thing where we sit there on a Sunday, we spend 6 to 8 hours planning and preparing all of our meals for the week, and then we got nowhere to put them in our fridge. Mind explodes. We get a little bit upset about it because now we don't have anywhere to put our food, and then we end up freezing it anyway. So the way we do it now is we batch cook most of our food. So we'll batch cook our chicken, we'll batch cook our beef, we'll batch cook our rice and our potatoes so that we do have leftovers. But there's no strict schedule for us in the way that we do it. We just have a ton of leftovers, of a variety of them. So then when we do go to create meals throughout the week, we have options.
We have variety, right? You can go into the fridge and you go, today I'm going to have rice, tomorrow I'm going to have potatoes. So making sure that we are of the mindset of batch cooking or batch preparing. If I'm going to cut up a bell pepper, I'm going to cut up 2 bell peppers. One that I have access to later, maybe to throw in a stir fry, or maybe I want to eat it raw, whatever that looks like. But it just means that I'm not doing one of something. When you do a little bit more, you're preparing yourself a little bit more for success. Call it, so in precision nutrition, we look at it like the 5-minute ritual. What can you do in 5 minutes that's going to better set yourself up for success? What can you do the night before that's going to set you up for success for the morning of? So if you really are no good at preparing, your lunch to go first thing in the morning, Maybe you need to prepare it the night before. Maybe when you're packaging up leftovers from last night's dinner, or maybe before you go to bed. But what can you do that's going to take 5 to 10 minutes? It's not a lot of amount of your time. That's just going to help set you up for success. Now, if you are in a pinch and you are a very busy individual, maybe meal prep isn't your jam because, hey, I don't have an extra 5 to 10 minutes all the time to do this stuff. This is where we start to look at like already done for you options. Maybe you're buying the little mini baby carrots. Maybe you are buying the already washed broccoli. Maybe you're buying a fruit or a veggie tray that's already prepared for you to save you from having to cut everything up. Maybe you're buying the whole roasted chicken because it's already cooked. Now you can just rip meat off of it. Maybe you're using canned veggies, canned proteins of some sort just to help make sure that you have what you need and you can just kind of dump and go. If you're like looking for like the easiest meal prep of all time, I call it Spanish rice because it sounds fancy, or Mexican rice, but it's literally rice with like some sort of protein. So maybe it's chicken, maybe it's beans, and then salsa. That's it. Okay, it doesn't have to be crazy. So looking at different ways that you can change things up, but making it stupid simple. Everybody wants to make these big elaborate meals. We all want the HelloFresh meal that, takes an hour to cook and looks super fancy and tastes super fancy. That's great. But that's not an all the time realistic expectation to set for yourself. So how can I make it stupid simple? So I always say to people, always have a protein on hand and always have a carbohydrate already cooked. When you've got both of those things already ready to go, you can take chicken or rice or beans or lentils and make it into just about any meal. You can add, Indian spices to make it, to have like maybe some butter chicken, some masala, some korma. Some karma.
Karma's coming too.
You could easily add in some salsa and make it a little bit more Mexican style, or maybe you want to add some tomato paste and make it more Italian. So there's lots of different ways to change up the flavorings on it, but really the staples remain the same. Now for us, for meal prep, I always take something out in the morning and I know that that's what I'm going to cook, and I can take the rest of the day to either look for a recipe, an idea, or maybe I already have one in my head on what I'm going to make for that. So maybe it means that I'm taking my chicken breasts out of the freezer to defrost them first thing in the morning so that they're easier to cook at nighttime, because I know I can cook a defrosted chicken breast in about 20 minutes or so. If it's frozen, I know it's going to take me 40 to 45 minutes to cook. So if you have a limited amount of time, making sure that you're setting yourself up for success. If you don't know how long something takes to cook, reach out to me.
Google it.
Or Google it. You could Google it, but you could reach out to me because I've been doing this a long time. I have a general rule of thumb. If it's frozen, it takes anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes or more, depending on the item. And if it's fresh, it's going to take 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the item again.
Yeah, no, love it. One thing I will say about meal prep too is whenever you are batch cooking your proteins, if you are a meatitarian like myself, bland is your friend. So you want to cook, but you want to cook your meat so that you could then flavor it to put in whatever dish you're doing. So like Kayla said, maybe you want Indian food one night. Maybe you want your classic like ground beef or like a whatever it is. But you're going to want different flavor profiles potentially throughout the week. So if you cook it without the flavoring on there, then when you go to put it, like just heating it up or just creating a meal with it later, you can always flavor it with whatever flavor you want at that time. Whereas if you already have nothing but barbecue sauce chicken and you want to make East Indian food, you're going to have a hell of a time getting the scent and taste of that barbecue sauce off the chicken. So
the easiest way to add that flavoring is like a seasoning, salt, and some garlic powder is like my go-to. But you could try different kinds of seasonings. Maybe you do one tray butter chicken flavored and you do another tray just, seasoning salt, whatever it is. But trying, like Mike said, keep it stupid simple so that you can change up the flavorings. I'm the kind of person that I need variety, so I need to have constant every day needs to be something a little bit different. Whereas Mike is more of the mentality like he could eat the same flavoring every day.
I am a plain Jane. You give me the same food every day, week in, week out, month in, month out, and that is how I survive, because at the end of the day, for me, it's all fuel.
Yeah. So starting to look at what meal prep means to you and what fits into your lifestyle, what makes it easy in your lifestyle. Because for us, planning long in advance is really tough. Maybe that means you have a rough idea of a meal plan that you want to eat this week, but maybe that means that you need to do that in order to make sure you have the groceries on hand. Maybe instead you just stick with certain staples and you can go, hey, I'm going to change this up this week. I'm going to change that up next week. I always say that we go through cycles. Like one week I'm buying nothing but spinach for a month straight, and the next month I could care less about spinach. But we go through different cycles so that we are getting that variety, because variety is the spice of life.
No, I love that. And then I just had, flew my coop. Never mind. I had something I was going to say, but it gone.
The other thing to think about with meal prep is, are you making a huge smoothie? Can you make a big batch of smoothie and stick it in your fridge and eat it for a couple days? Or maybe you're doing a bunch of jars of overnight oats or a bunch of jarred salads. There's lots of different ways to meal prep where it's not going to take a ton of time out of your schedule, but it's still going to taste delicious and you can grab and go. It's always those grab and go options that we want to have available. If you think about it, with any kind of behavior change, we're looking for convenience, right? It's really convenient when the Nutella is right at eye level in the cupboard and I can just easily see it and grab for it. Maybe if I don't want to eat Nutella, I need to put it at the back of the cupboard where it's a little less convenient. So in order to make the food choices that I want for my meal prep to be successful, I need to make them convenient. So start with where you're at. Maybe that's buying the already cooked or already cut up food items, or maybe you're a little bit more well-rounded in your cooking skills already. So maybe you're preparing larger meals. Maybe you're pre-packaging items to stick in the freezer. Like we have small Tupperware containers and big Tupperware containers. When we have leftovers, I package them accordingly. The small ones are Kayla's and the big ones are Mike's, and they are set up for our portion sizes, and then I label them with a sticky note and throw them in the freezer. Now in a pinch, when we are running late with kids or clients or whatever, we need lunch or a snack or whatever, we know we can go into the freezer and there is variety there because it's not all the same meal. Mike can go, oh, I'm gonna have this one night, or oh, I'm gonna have that another night, and you're not always having to eat on the go.
Yeah, and I want to throw this out there for everybody. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So when we were talking about meal prep, if you are buying it at a store, you are planning to eat it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I buy that for my kids, or, I buy that for a special event, whatever that is. People buy their, what are they, like those big meat, delicious, it's full of fat though, can't think of it, briskets. People buy briskets all the time and they're like, oh, that's for a special event. I don't eat that all the time, but the reality is as soon as it's there, the intent is to eat it. So nothing wrong with that, but being very honest with yourself and saying, does it fit my goals? Is it a whole food? Am I buying those highly palatable kind of ready-made foods that aren't really going to serve us towards our goals? If you are, and that is what your decision has been, that's okay too, but you need to be honest with yourself and your goals to say, does this fit my plan? Does this fit the way that I'm trying to achieve my goals? Or is this something that falls out of line with the plans that I have?
Yeah, well, setting ourselves up when we look at when we're looking at our food choices on our eat more options. What are our healthy, lean, whole food items? What are our eat some options that we only really want to have occasionally? And what are our eat less options? So that you know that I'm going to buy more of the eat more options, the foods that are going to satiate my journey to help me feel good and full, and I'm going to have less of those eat less options. The thing is at the end of the day, highly palatable, highly processed food tastes delicious. There is a reason for that. It is made in a lab. It is meant to taste delicious.
It is a food product.
It is meant to make you want to eat more of it. I mean, on a biological level, your gut bacteria wants more sweet food. So, of course, you're going to want the next one and the next one and the next one, and you're going to have a really hard time stopping eating it. So when we set ourselves up for success with the foods that we do want to nourish our body with, you're not going to overconsume carrots. It's just not going to happen.
Unless you're Addison.
Yeah, unless you're a 7-year-old, and maybe you might. But the thing is that when we are eating the healthy whole foods, we are less likely to overconsume them, and we are less likely to totally kind of go out left field on it, if you will.
Perfect.
So, hopefully that gives you some tips and tricks for meal prep, but think of any 5 to 10 minute chunk that you can really start to set yourself up for success when you're already preparing something.
And if you're watching this right now and you have a question about meal prep, fire it into the comments. If I see something come up, we will talk about it today.
If you're ready to make a change in your life, step into the best version of you, check out our Iron Self Transformation Program. Find more info on our website, www.ironbodycoach.com. All right. Okay,
Number two
mindset.
is our mindset. What's going on between the ears and the old gray matter?
Where is your head at? Now, I can speak to this 100% right now because this is something I have been struggling with since I came off my competition prep is where's your mindset? Where's your goal? What is your why? Why are you doing this? Where do you see yourself going at the end of the day? And what are you struggling most with? So I know for me, a lot of my stuff is an internal battle. It is struggling with my own mindset, my own motivation, and where I want to go or where I see myself going. And so I think that a lot of the time when we are struggling in our own head, how do I get out of my own way?
Okay, so mindset in general. We want to start at the very base of our mindset. Positive mindset. So getting ourselves away from the negativity that we tend to create or have in our lives means creating that positive mind state to begin with. So what does that look like in practice, right? It's easy to say, hey, you should be more positive. And then people just kind of leave it at that. So one of the best ways to increase that positivity, to bring up more things in our lives that show us opportunity is simply by practicing gratitude. So to start, when I say mindset, one of the first things I like to talk about with pretty much everybody, what do you have to be grateful for right now in this moment? The rest of the world can wait. I want you to think about this. Anybody who's watching this right now, what do you have to be thankful for in this moment right now? Right? Start at the base, because once we start to bring to light all of the things that we get to be grateful for to begin with, that starts to bring that positivity. That brings that little curveball that says, hey, we actually have a lot that we should and that we can be thankful for right now in this moment, even if we're struggling, right? There's been so many times in my life where I have been struggling, where I've had those mindset issues where it's like everything seems to be going wrong, we're struggling, whatever that looks like. But at the end of the day, I can always take a step away from that and say, yes, the world is exploding around me, but I actually have a lot that I can be thankful for right now in this moment. So that's a great place to start.
I love that. I love that we start with a place of gratitude because gratitude makes what we have already enough.
Exactly. So then from gratitude, after we've been able to practice that gratitude, then where do we go from there? How do we start to shift the rest of this mindset, the paradigm around the way we think?
Well, for me, a lot of it comes back to reflection. Reflecting on my experience, reflecting on my behavior, my patterning, and what I'm doing. And I know for myself, a lot of the actions or behavior patterns and thoughts that I've been doing lately, for me, have been I'm going to say limiting patterns. They are patterns that I used to fall back in. They are patterns that once served me and are familiar to me, but they always kept me stuck. And I think that this is something that I came to a really big realization with is, who do I want to be? What direction am I going? And why do I want to be this person? And so when I started to look at that and I go, oh, well, I'm doing this behavior, this behavior, this behavior, or this thought pattern. And these are all the old version of Kayla, the old version that kept me stuck as that person that I didn't want to be anymore. Well, what does this new version do? What actions does this new version take? What direction do I want to travel, and what do I want out of life? Because if I continue down this path of this thinking, these thought patterns, these actions that I'm currently taking, where will I end up? And I can tell you very clearly, if I keep going down that route, I know for myself, and hopefully you might know this for you, that you will remain the same. You will stay exactly as you are right here, right now.
If we don't create change, we can't change.
Now, change doesn't come without inconvenience. Now I need to inconvenience myself a little bit. It's inconvenient not to eat that chocolate bar because I really want to. But I also know that it doesn't help me step into the better version of myself because I'm not stepping closer towards the goal that I set out to be on. That doesn't mean I can't have the chocolate bar, but it just means that I can't have the chocolate bar right now.
All the time.
All the time on a regular basis. So I'm using the chocolate bar analogy because that's super fresh in my mind. But I want you to start thinking about the other things in your life, that the other actions or behaviors that you're doing. Are there limiting patterns? Are there things that you're doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, that aren't serving you to step forward into a better mind state, that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you playing small, right? If you want to achieve greatness, if you want to achieve great things, you need to start stepping towards those behaviors and thought patterns that get you out of your own way, that make you think a little bit bigger, that are inconvenient.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and that's so true. So to get that mindset on the right track, we need to start resonating with the things that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves, and creating that space for ourselves. So that was my next thing that I want to talk about for mindset, is paying attention to that internal dialogue, paying attention to the stories that we tell ourselves, and really questioning those. Because if we are telling ourselves that we are not worthy of achieving our goals, or that these goals are too hard to hit, I've been trying for so long and I haven't been able to hit them, they are too hard for me to hit, or whatever that looks like, right? Paying attention to that internal dialogue and starting to question that. Am I worthy of my goals? Yes, I am. Regardless of who you are listening to this right now, you are 100% worthy of your goals. So setting these goals to begin with is very important, but then also realizing that you are capable and that you are worthy of achieving these goals, super important too. So if you found yourself, if you were the type of person, like maybe that I used to be, where I would I had limiting behaviors around what I believed I could achieve, right? So we all set these barriers up in our minds where it's like, I can't achieve that goal because it is too big of a goal, whatever that looks like, right? But again, asking yourself, taking that time, that critical thinking in between, and saying, well, what's really standing in my way of achieving that goal? Because that's a pretty big goal for me and I'd love to be able to achieve it. So what stands in my way? Why do I question whether I'm worthy enough to achieve this goal to begin with? And then starting to take an honest look at those stories that we tell ourselves. Super powerful.
When we're looking at our mindset too, looking at what is the constant story that you're telling yourself, and is this a familiar story? Is this a story you've heard before? Is this a story you want to keep hearing going forward? Because if this is a familiar story that, like, it feels comfortable, I'm going to try these shoes on, they fit really easy, like that kind of idea. If it comes easily, then it's probably not the story you want to be hearing.
It's not challenging. Yeah.
It's not challenging you. It's not putting you a little bit further outside of that comfort zone. When we look at our mindset and we're saying, I'm having a really difficult time with this, are you creating stress inside your mind? Or maybe in your everyday life, you're overwhelmed by stress. And if that's the case, if my mindset isn't in the game for my goals because I've got all these other stressors going on in my life, start to think about, what can I let go of? Where can I find more ease in my life? Where can I lower my expectations a little? Any way that you can start to release stress and let go of stress, anxiety, worry, all of those things might make your mindset come back into play a little bit. Are you doing some reflection? What are you doing for yourself? What fills your cup? What are you doing on a daily basis or a regular basis to fill your cup? And is that action or behavior actually serving you to step into a better version of yourself? Or is it keeping you stuck and limited?
I love that. And I love that you said, is it challenging you, right? One thing that I say to literally every athlete I've ever worked with was, if it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you, right? We can work all day in the gym, but if you are not feeling challenged by your workouts, your body will not change. We are not going to get the adaptations we want. But it doesn't just work for the gym. It works in every aspect of our life. Think about any time you were in school. If school was just this breeze, if you walked into any test you ever wrote and it was 100% on every single test with literally no effort, you're not learning anything. You're not being challenged. You're not being changed. So again, if you want to create change, there has to be challenge. You need to push yourself to your boundaries and possibly even past your boundaries, outside of that comfort zone, to learn a little bit about ourselves. Maybe we will succeed. Maybe we won't with whatever that goal is. But at the end of the day, if we stay within our lanes, if we just play safe, if we play small all the time, we don't learn what our boundaries are. We don't learn how to push our boundaries. And we sure as hell don't learn how to push ourselves hard enough to change both our mindset and everything else that comes with it.
No, I know it's cliche to say, it's all about the journey. It's never about the destination and yada, 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 yada. I had that conversation though with our children, and after my competition, and I said to them, they wanted to know, how did mom do it, all that kind of stuff. And I said, mom didn't win a medal, but I asked them, I said, when you are, doing a sport or something, what do you do with the medal that you win? And they said, well, when I win, I put it on my shelf in my bedroom. And I said, well, okay, well, what do you do with the medal that you get for participating? Well, I put it on the shelf in my bedroom. And I said, at the end of the day, the medals go to the same place. They take on the same meaning. We're not sitting there going, oh, look at all my medals or whatever. I've got all of these medals and this is where they are. But it's all about the journey. What did you learn in that process about yourself? What worked really well for you? What didn't work so well for you? That's that reflective piece. How can I learn, evolve, and grow? And that is really what our entire mindset process is about taking action, reflecting on the action, and then modifying your behavior, your action to take more action, to modify behavior and action again. And this is the path of growth and development. If we stay with looking at, okay, well, I didn't place this time, I'm just going to try again, and we take the same action and we don't modify it because we didn't reflect on it, then you're going to get a similar result every time because you're not getting that reflective patterning to help us grow and change and look for areas of improvement.
Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So again, like Kayla was saying, every aspect of our lives, being able to take that objective look. Did we learn something from this process? What did we learn? Okay, well, we learned that it didn't work out how we wanted it to, doing it exactly this way. So what can we change next time so that we can achieve a different result, right? And always asking ourselves this. And again, it's not just with workouts. This is every aspect of our lives. If you are somebody who has a savings account, your savings account will always do the same thing. It's always going to compound interest at 0.03% or whatever the heck your savings account is at. But maybe you want to earn more with your money. So maybe you start looking at investing. Maybe you start looking at bonds and stocks and all these different ways of making your money work for you, right? So if we keep doing the same thing, which is just that savings account, it's going to give us the same return every time. Whereas if we take the time and we learn how we can invest our money, which bonds are best, which stocks are best, whatever that looks like, and now we get our money to start working for us, yes, there's more risk, but there's also the potential for more reward. So again, switching it from just a health perspective, like we always talk about, into a general life perspective, if we don't challenge ourselves, we're not going to change ourselves. And if we don't push ourselves to our limits, if we don't challenge our current beliefs, then we're always going to stay where we are. We're going to be stuck in the exact same position we are always in. So taking a look at that and saying, maybe I want something different. Maybe I want to have financial freedom. So now I need to find ways to do that, right? Or maybe I want to be having my body out of pain. So now I need to find ways to do that. Or maybe you want to have your body show up different when you go to a competition. Well, now I need to figure out how to do that. Whatever your sticking point is, working, being that scientist, asking yourself the honest questions, where can I improve? How can I do this? Maybe you need somebody's help to get there, right? Maybe you've done everything in your eyes that is absolutely right to hit your goals, but it's still just not quite there. So maybe you need somebody who has that expertise. Maybe I need to talk to someone who does investments and things like that if that's where I want to put my focus and my energy. Maybe I need a professional's advice to get to that next level, and that's okay too. But being able to look at it objectively and ask for that help takes a mindset shift to begin with.
Asking for help is huge. Whether this be like a daily motivation, I need help just today to get out of my own way, to get out of my stinking thinking, or maybe this is an ask for help just from a friend or a family member just to be a sounding board. So asking for help is the first key to stepping into our mindset shift. And also knowing that it is okay. We all have good and bad days. This doesn't mean you're going to be on every single day, but this just means that each day I'm going to show up for myself in the best way that I can. And, you know, I always joke, but I think having a little yak back or a little voice recording from yourself on your good days where it says, you know, like, you're doing amazing, I'm so proud of you, blah, 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 blah.
A yak back.
Yeah.
I love that you're aging yourself.
Yes, aging myself. But you could play it on your bad days and going, you know what? Not every day is going to be this way. This too shall pass, and I can move forward. So whether it be some sort of a reminder, a letter, a voice recording, an affirmation, whatever it is to help you reframe your mindset, to help keep your head focused on where you're going, because we do have our days where we struggle, and that's okay. We are human. That is part of self-compassion, right? To knowing that common humanity, that we all go through this, and just knowing that maybe sometimes I need to reach out to a friend, a family member, a coach, somebody that can help recenter me and be in my corner and have my back.
Perfect.
I hope you guys got something out of today in our This Week in Coaching for June 6th. Please stay tuned for next week and check out our podcast for more episodes.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, it doesn't matter if you're coaching with us or if you're just somebody who follows us on Facebook or Instagram, write your questions in. We love questions. Kayla and I are gigantic freaking nerds. So ask your questions. We will answer to the best of our abilities. And hopefully we will see you guys back here next week for Next Week in Coaching.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye for now.
Have a great day, guys.